everybody for coming out tonight. And there's an impending storm coming. I was going to bring my dog, but I just couldn't handle the dog, the wine, the everything. I want to tell you how this book started, Cherished, 21 Writers on Animals They've Loved and Lost. 2 years ago, my horse in Montana died. And I was absolutely devastated. And I wrote a post on my blog saying how much I had loved my horse and how I was grieving for my horse. And I had started writing rather late in life, a time when most people don't take up horseback riding. And my husband had bought Robin at an auction in Montana for $500, and he was a retired Forest Service trail horse. And this was the sweetest horse in the world, I just have to tell you. He knew full well that I didn't have a clue to what I was doing when I got on him, but he never took advantage of me, and he sort of made me feel like his own personal horse whisperer, and I loved this horse. So when he died, I put this post up on my blog, and I got a lot of wonderful comments from people, including one from my friend and veterinarian and student, Bob Goldman. And he said there should be an anthology of pieces like this, of writers who have loved an animal and then have lost the animal. And it was like, bingo! And I researched, there was no such book, so I immediately emailed all my wonderful writer friends, talented, beautiful writer friends who love animals, and they got very enthusiastic about it. And then their enthusiasm encouraged me to I had Jane Smiley's. That's so perfect. That's so appropriate. Yes. Fans, yes, we have a copy.
We're just lucky they're not in the book.
Right, they're healthy. And so anyway, I was so excited about this idea, I knew no shame, and I happened to have Jane Smiley's email, and I wrote to her. And then I wrote to Anne Lamott and Thomas McGuane and Mark Doty and Carolyn C. and all these other writers that I love. And they all responded, and it was sort of a, you know, it was a project that started in great, you know, grief, but it ended up to be absolutely joyous. Somebody asked me the other day, I was doing an interview, and he said, and what is the message of the book? And I thought, the message of the book. And I was thinking, I think this book does is if you have lost an animal, and if you're an animal lover, when you lose an animal, you sometimes feel a little crazy in your deep grief over this animal. And the book is about you're not alone. There are a lot of other people out there who feel that way. C.S. Lewis once wrote that we read to know that we're not alone. So I have 6. I feel like you know what I feel like? I feel like a groupie, and I have all these wonderful, wonderful writers here tonight that I'm a fan of, and I get to play with the band tonight. So they're all going to read something from their essay for 5 minutes, and I'm going to read just a tiny bit of the introduction, and then I will hand it over to them. I've always lived with an animal, or multiple animals. When my daughters were growing up, we had 3 dogs, 4 cats, and a rabbit. One of the dogs was a Newfoundland named Jennifer, who was the size of a small bear and loved to sleep in our bed with her huge head on the down pillows. One of the cats, Crazy Alice, insisted on sleeping in our bathroom sink. Another cat, Jaeger, got hit by a car, had his pelvis crushed and rebuilt along with an expensive tail amputation, and then after he recovered, raced out into traffic again to have his jaw shattered and once more survived. Our cats then became indoor cats. And Sydney, the youngest of the cat gang, would fish tampon tubes out of waste paper baskets and then appear jauntily holding one in his mouth as if smoking a cigarette. Then there was Weinsberg, the cat I rescued in New York when I was still a teenager. When she died, almost 2 decades later, we had been on a long journey together, both in miles and time, half my life, in fact. Here's the thing about losing animals. They take a piece of your life with them when they die. They love the best in you, they share your days and nights, and then they're gone. And there's a hole in your life, this vanished past they've taken with them. Last summer, when I returned to Montana, I visited Robin's grave out in the pasture by the river, this dear, valiant horse whose gentleness and patience gave me the gift of knowing and loving a horse, and who made me feel a whole lot braver than I actually was. I remember how he smelled of wind and hay, the softness behind his ears, the way he'd nuzzle me when he hadn't seen me for a while, and gratitude began to move the sadness out of my heart.